and welcome to Wait, It Gets Better, the Improvisational Storytelling Podcast. Each week, it goes like this. We tell you a story, you listen to the story, and have a great time. I'm, of course, Levi.
I'm Reed.
And I'm Seth.
And we are here to tell you a story. What elements do you guys have?
I have government type.
I have Pantheon.
I have economic system. I feel like those are all three pretty big world building things, and I have a pretty big world building thing, but the Pantheon comes first. So let's hear the Pantheon, Seth.
I was going to say I'd be more than happy to listen to one of the other ones first, but
I mean, I feel like I want to hear at least the government type before I talk about the economic system.
Okay, then let's hear about the government type, and then I will try to insert the Pantheon then.
Well, we'll have to see. The Pantheon might help my government type, but it'll work. We'll see.
Okay, I mean, I can. I'll do the Pantheon first then.
Okay, that's fine.
We'll see how it goes and go from there. The Pantheon is I don't remember what I had because I was sick last night and I had all kinds of fever dreams.
Sounds like a great Pantheon. Tell us about those.
Yeah, the fever dreams. The gods are active in your.
Yeah. No, they weren't quite like that. They were. It was more like a dream of like trying to remove water out of a cup, one drop at a time, while being fully aware that I could have just dumped the water into the other container.
Well, do you want to hear the economic system?
Yeah.
Have we moved back all the way around to hearing the economic system first?
Okay, so the idea that I had with the Pantheon is it's more of like a top class system. So either by competition or proof of worth, but like the Pantheon would be like the top scientist or the top I don't know, scientist is the only thing I can come to mind, but like basically positions where the person who can prove that they are, better at it than the person that is currently there gets to then hold that position of prestige. Now then you get extra, let's say, powers when you're there, control different things, but some of that comes from, your knowledge to be able to manipulate that area of expertise that you have. And so it's like if someone is holding the weather position, and someone comes along and challenges them, and then they can take their place, but then they kind of sit as like the weather czar, where they can, manipulate different things using, their knowledge and skill and expertise, and then, I don't know, maybe some kind of ring of power that does something for them.
This is the Pantheon?
Yeah.
Okay.
So this expert class kind of thing is like they achieve like kind of godhood status.
Kind of, yeah.
Okay. I have this kind of picture of a lot of people kind of milling about. There's like 15 or 30 people milling about, but there's only like 8 sort of high chairs that control like the big things, and they all kind of jockey and trade for position in order to sit in one of these high chairs in order to sort of be a pantheon, to be someone in control of something important in the world.
So it's kind of is it kind of like a merit-based system, but it's merit based on who can affect like you say, the weather czar, whatever, is who can bring to bear the strongest effect and be more effective in their control of this area or that area?
Yeah, not like merit-based as in like they have to be morally like superior, but just as in like be better at it than whoever is sitting there right now.
Right. So it's almost like there are people born who can become these pantheons, and then those people are trained up, and whoever can sort of wield the power the best gets put into that place. But sometimes it might go a long stretch without anyone having really good control over like the weather system. So like someone who has only like mediocre control over the weather system gets put in that place. And so we have kind of intermediate storms and drought and, and you think about, the golden age when, Xenodon was the weather czar. Like it was just like popping off summer and, harvest time and just rain, and it was beautiful. No winter. It was amazing, but now we have.
He drove an SUV, dumped a lot of carbon into the air. No, I'm sorry.
Yeah, that makes sense. So like maybe perhaps it's not like a class thing, but perhaps it's like maybe those who are born with the gift, and perhaps like say lower class people that might have the gift. I'm thinking of the thing that comes to mind would be the Wheel of Time, the in the village up there, Nynaeve,
Yeah, she
the
was
wisdom,
the wisdom. Yeah.
where technically she wielded the power, but in almost a different way than the Aes Sedai,
Right.
right? And so, like in a backcountry hick, some of these people might be like, oh, well, they can like sense when something's happening. But those, perhaps people that have access to something else can get their child into one of the universities that can
Right.
train them up and judge their capabilities, or if they have a private tutor that can help them, whatever, and then they can
Right.
get into the thing. But yeah, no, it's
Because you have to be trained to use the machines. You have to be trained to channel your power through the Pantheon seat, the whatever systems that are used. If a 70-year-old guy is discovered that he has this really great power for something, it's almost completely spoiled because he can't like sit down at the war seat and properly integrate with the machine at all. It doesn't work, So you have to catch them young, and therefore you need tutors to sort of teach the kids like the specific mindsets and things to be.
yeah.
All right, that's awesome. That mixes really, really well with the economic system. Reed, were you ready to go, or do you want me to?
I'm ready to go. I might as well.
Okay.
Okay. It's this is I'm calling it ethics-based anarchy. So there's definitely a morality, a societal morality basis. But I'm just using the quote, in those days there was no king in the land and every man did what was right in his own eyes. And the code that everybody is raised up in is that each man is responsible for his own life, liberty, and property. And society will sanction anyone who interferes with the life, liberty, or property of another. So there's high value that what's yours is yours and you're responsible for it, right? And if there's a problem, then it can be settled between the two of you. And if that doesn't work, then you have your community will step in and say, no, you're being the wrong guy here, and it's got to stop. And then if there's restitution that needs to be made, that will be.
Wait a second. You said someone else would say this is wrong here. How would you determine?
There you go.
How would they determine?
What I've just said is opens the door for what everybody says is bad with anarchy, and that is mob rule. Where if the one guy is better at stirring up the crowd, to get his way, it could be a problem. However, that's why I say it's an ethics-based anarchy. People know right from wrong. So the idea being that you're not going to have a charlatan that's going to do well trying to stir up crowds. Everybody has to look to himself. But, the neighbors will step in if somebody's getting too big for their britches.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So
yeah. And
I quickly want to point out just the fallacy besides saying what's right and wrong. An ethics-based, like the fact of anarchy is the fact that each person decides for themselves what is right and wrong. So there can be no mediator. But
right.
I think the way that it could happen, according to what you're saying, is there is a third-party adjudicator who, if each person goes to, when they can't settle their differences between them,
right,
they go to this thing, and that thing sort of parses out, quote unquote, ultimate right and wrong.
Well, and it kind of fits with what Seth is talking about, the Pantheon, where you'll have the people that have wisdom to settle differences, and you'll have people that will rise to these positions based on it's a less formal thing, though. It isn't like somebody has got the authority and will say, well, this is what it is. It's I'm not saying that it's going to work well. I'm just saying this is what it is. This is how they're muddling along right now.
Yeah. I was going to say, I don't know how it would work. It'd be interesting to see how it would work.
Yeah.
But it's interesting because it also mixes pretty well with the economic system, which is this. Some time ago, we'll say 1,200 years ago, we'll say back when the Pantheon systems were just being developed, they created a supercomputer, right? To sort of process all information. And since they created that, everyone who grows up pretty much knows how to create code, right? There's not a person who you can't just sit down and write your simple, super simple program. It's like, at this point in time, with the resources available, the amount of people and how long it's been in the system, it's like following a recipe, sitting down and creating code.
Cool.
And this supercomputer has an AI that runs it, or is it, and it manages the world economy, right? And when it was searching for a perfect economic system, what it decided was, and what it sort of centered on, was that it needed to become more efficient in every way in order to deal with the population and to evolve with them. So what it implemented was code for currency, specifically code that addresses it, right? So if you write a piece of code, right, to improve a specific line of the AI's base processing power, and it provides 1/100th of a percent increase in efficiency, then that's great. It receives that, it verifies that, it takes that into itself, and then it offers you a certificate of authenticity. Now, this program, this AI, has been around for thousands of years, so there are literally hundreds of billions of these little tiny certificates that have been produced. And some of them are worth a lot of money because they have increased the efficiency of the machine by, 10%, which is a ton, considering that most only increase the efficiency by 100ths of a percent, So you could, if you wanted to, just sit in your house all day going over the code of the AI, which is all open source and everything. I mean, it's all open and available, and look through it and try and write new code. But most people don't do that, right? Most people just are paid in certificates guaranteed by the AI, pay people in certificates guaranteed by the AI, and really ambitious people get big loans and grants and stuff in order to try and address certain parts of the code. The problem with this that's happened is that over the years, the AI's programming has become unrecognizable to anyone from what it used to be.
Yeah.
Right? It's too many cooks, basically. Too many cooks spoil the soup. That's basically what's happened. And because of that, the AI has started to act erratically and strangely because too much of it has been changing. And I would like to submit that part of the storyline kind of centers around an idea that someone injects a bit of code, like someone offers something that, has a great efficiency, the computer ingests it, but it's a bit of backdoor code, and that's sort of what starts the problems with the world.
That's fascinating. It sounds like a nightmare, but it's great.
Yeah, it does kind of sound like a nightmare, but it also sounds like it'd be kind of interesting. Seth, what do you think? Does that resonate with your Pantheon?
I think it's fine.
You sounded really excited. I like it with the government type because it sort of supports this idea of kind of small city states or small faction states, who are kind of separated from each other by sort of a vast wasteland, but they're all kind of connected together via a sort of a common currency,
Well, if anarchy could work in any system, one that is basically like, run by a computer, it could work.
Right.
And it's the way you've spelled it out. It is benign and non-malevolent, but it's just collapsing under its own weight, so to speak.
Right. It's just a top. You can't make a top that's so perfectly balanced that it will spin forever.
Right.
And it's like, that's all that it is, or a generator that just runs for 30 years straight. It's like, it's going to fail.
Yes.
It's like, it doesn't want to fail. It's just going to fail because of just entropy.
Materials wear out.
Absolutely.
They decompose.
And part of me thinks that this Pantheon has kind of been forgotten to a degree. Not really forgotten, as it were, but maybe kind of overlooked. I don't know. I was thinking about, my brain was saying forgotten for some reason, but I don't remember why. But I have kind of a picture of So you have a post-scarcity civilization living on a planet. Post-scarcity, they have the Pantheon, which it's not really a pantheon, it's really more of like a privileged high council kind of thing. And they, however the gene that produces the people who can use the machines is, I don't know. But they also create this machine to regulate everything. And then you just sort of push fast forward for 1200 years. And maybe what we're experiencing now is the stagnation of the human race. Right? As the system that was set up to sort of perfectly and efficiently run the economy is falling apart, as each person is doing what is right in his own eyes,
Yeah.
and maybe that third party thing that they go to adjudicate their disputes is in fact an AI as well.
Yeah, that would work. That would fit in. It would make sense.
Yeah, and
since the machine obviously handles all property records and mineral rights and whose business is interfering with the business of someone else and all that kind of thing.
Right. And then my idea would be that in the main city, you have this Pantheon still kind of holding together the idyllic picture. But then the farther away you get from that main city, it's not like the Pantheon is less powerful out there. It's just our hero starts in the main city where everything is perfect, and then they go outside the dome, as it were.
Yeah.
I'm thinking kind of Seth, kind of Chrome Shell Rigo-esque.
Well, that I missed that reference.
It's a anime that is just weird and very cool, and you should watch it. But it has to do with dome cities, and it's kind of terrible outside the domes, but then it's becoming terrible inside the domes as things are changing.
Yeah.
But I think that's some good groundwork for you guys. Have any other cool ideas for world building and kind of like a plot beginning too? So.
Well, as people see things start to fray around the edges, they have to, come up with some workarounds, right? If the system is failing.
Yeah, they will absolutely have to. Do you have any interesting workarounds you were thinking of?
No, what I was thinking about would be coming later. So, okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for joining us for this episode of Wait It Gets Better as we start this interesting new story. If you have any questions or comments about this, our process, what we do, our favorite colors, let us know at waititgetsbettercast@gmail.com or add us on Twitter at @getsbettercast. We'd be happy to answer those questions. And until next time, don't forget to wait. It's getting better.